Nasir bin Murshid was probably born sometime between 1580 and 1600 in what is now modern-day Oman. He was born to one of the many tribes of Oman, this one being named the Yoruba tribe. Not much is known of the early life of Nasir, but we do know that he was a follower of the Ibadi sect of Islam, as his whole tribe was. I made a video about how Ibadi Islam got its name linked here if you'd like to check that out. Anyways, Nasir witnessed as the Omani coastline became dominated by the colonial Portuguese Empire. They had taken the important coastal cities of Sur, Kurat, Muscat, and Sohar. This foreign occupation severely weakened the current ruling dynasty of Oman, who called themselves the Nobahani. This dynasty would become a microcosm of the split and feuding tribal society that Oman had devolved into. Two Nobahani brothers entered into a civil war, further splitting their weakened realm. This civil war was only ended when one of the brothers' cousins, named Omar bin Himyar, defeated the brothers and reconsolidated peace in Oman, although Oman was still split along tribal and religious lines. Ibadi was the dominant religion. Then over time, more and more Sunni Muslims migrated into Oman until they made up a large portion of the population. This would prove to be a slight problem for the mostly Ibadi rulers of Oman. Omar bin Himyar ruled until his death in 1624. He left behind no heirs and was the last of the Nabhani dynasty. An already divided Oman was once again split, this time on who should be the new ruler. Ultimately, an election would take place at Rustak, with the two main contenders belonging to the Yoruba tribe, who remained as one of the most dominant ones in the region. Ibadi Islamists believed in voting for their leaders and deposing them if necessary, so a vote was cast over who should be the next imamate of Oman. The two main candidates would be Malik bin Abdul Arar, who controlled Rustak Fort, and Nasir bin Murshid, who was one of the leaders of the Yoruba tribe. Ultimately, the decision would be unanimous, and in favor of Nasir bin Murshid. Nasir was only seen as the rightful imam only by parts of the Yoruba tribe and a few small tribes in his proximity. This would lead to a need for almost immediate conquest to unify Oman. First, he took Rustak Fort, then moved on to Nakal Fort in 1625. Then in that same year, the new imam took Izka, then the ever-important city of Nizwa. Nizwa had previously been the capital of the Omani Imamate, and capturing this city would add a huge amount of prestige and legitimacy to Nasir's rule. Immediately after capturing the city, he moved his own capital to Nizwa, formally cementing the Yoruba dynasty of Oman. Nasir continued his campaigns, mostly bringing the Ibadi Muslims into his realm, who would accept his rule much faster than the Sunni Muslims in Oman would. The main Sunni tribe in Oman was called the Nizar tribe, that controlled the northern interior region of Oman called Al-Duraya. The Nizar were a fierce enemy, who conducted a long guerrilla campaign against Imam Nasir. The Nizar campaign lasted about 4 years and never really ended. Even after the Nizar tribes surrendered, they still continued to raid deep into Oman until the early 1630s. With the Nizar tribes mostly quelled, and most of the Ibadi tribes unified, there was only one thing left to do to restore the imamate of Oman completely, and this was to kick out the Portuguese from their coastline. In 1633, a unified Omani army was assembled to do just that. The goal was the ever-important city of Muscat. Unfortunately, the city was too heavily defended by the Portuguese, who managed to push back the Omanis. With this defeat, Nasir decided to take an easier route and targeted the city of Jolfar, that was protected by 2 forts. This time, the Omani tribes found success, and for the first time, managed to kick out their colonial oppressor. In that same year of 1633, Nasir ordered his army to take the well-defended fort at the city of Sohar, but again, the Omanis were repulsed in the resulting siege. After this, Nasir signed a truce with Portugal to cease the warfare. But this was just a trick. Why play fair when your enemy has huge cannons on huge boats with a seemingly endless supply of ammo and gunpowder? This surprise attack would shift Nasir's fortunes, who captured the coastal cities of Sur and Kuwait. Now, Portugal only retained control over 2 cities of Muscat and Sohar, until Sohar fell in 1643 to Imam Nasir. Only one more city, and perhaps the most important one, and Oman would finally be unified for the first time in generations. To get the supplies needed to take Muscat, Nasir signed a trading rights treaty with Britain in 1646. The fight for Muscat would be resumed 2 years later in 1648. Even with British supplies, the walls of Muscat held firm. The two sides would once again come to a treaty in October of 1648. With the eventual capture of Muscat in the foreseeable future, the aged Nasir had only to wait to finally expel the colonizers. But unfortunately, before his lifelong goal of unification was completed, Nasir would pass away on April 14th of 1649. He left behind no sons to pass his title on to, so his cousin, Sultan bin Saif, succeeded him. Imam Nasir bin Murshid rose up in a time of chaos in Oman. In 25 years of reign, he somehow managed to bring together the splintered tribes of Oman and almost managed to completely kick out the more militarily advanced Portuguese. An incredible feat that is something of an anomaly for the colonial time period.